Russ, I see these clips of Artur, and he does these what we would see over here as unconventional training methods that we don't really utilize over here. And it leads me to the question of, I mean, there's two schools of thoughts in boxing as to whether power, you're born with it or you train for it. Seeing someone like Beterbiev, do you pinpoint your answer to that question, having seen what he does in his training?
I'll repeat that. You froze for a second there. Could you repeat that, the last part?
Sure. So the last part was, having seen Beterbiev, firsthand. Do you have an answer to that question as to where Beterbiev's power comes from? Is it from that training, or is it something he's born with?
I believe there are three things in boxing that you're born with, or actually in any sport, you're inherently born with a natural ability of doing something. Let's say in boxing, you're born with, if you are super fast, you're born with that. If you have power, you're born with that. If you have a great develop those other two, I'm not sure about going around developing a good chin. Getting it hit often is not really a good way to develop it. But for speed and power, what you have, you can certainly enhance. So it's my belief that a fighter, whether it be like Artur Beterbiev or somebody else, the first day he walked in the gym with all the other kids or anybody else his age, everybody hit the pad or hit the bag or whatever. The coach said, this guy here was better than all those other guys, right? Now, he didn't know how to, so naturally you build on that. And I think that's the case with, 100 meter sprinters or whatever. They have a certain gift that you say, that stride is really good. That kid's stride at 11 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old is better than all the 11, 12, 13-year-olds. There's something about it. Now, you just can't leave it at that. And it's not somebody wakes up when they're 22 and says, you know what, today I think I them that makes them better than everybody else. And then they train. Power Beterbiev had became even more power. The same way that whatever power you have, Eamon, and you go in and hit the bag, if you train properly, you will increase on that power. Will you ever be a one-punch knockout artist? I don't know. I haven't seen you hit. But whatever it is, you'll improve on. So if you do have that one-punch knockout power, you'll make it even better because your technique will get better. Am I making sense what I'm saying here?
Sure.
So that's how I feel about his power and his speed. And, I think that applies to fighters, athletes in all sports who succeed at a level. Whatever it is they do, they just do things that are just a little bit better, and they're just a little more special than anybody else. And I to use a UK sports superstar is Ronnie O'Sullivan. He was running hundreds, when he was 10 years old. You don't think people stood around and said, I think there's something special here. You know what I mean? Now, that's a natural ability. Sustain that and compete with the best in the world over the years and become 7-time world champion. And at 7 times, he's probably an underachiever. He probably should have been 10 times by now world champion, So, yeah, natural ability plays a great role.
Now, Anthony Yarde over here, we see him as someone who also carries great power, most notably in the highlight of his career so far. A losing effort, but an effort in which saw him, I believe, in round 8 or 9, nearly defeat Sergey Kovalev over in Russia. Russ, what's your finger on the pulse in terms of Anthony Yarde and the challenge he'll bring to Artur Beterbiev when the two meet in the ring?
What you froze at? What do what?
What's your finger on the pulse in terms of the challenges Anthony Yarde will bring to Beterbiev in the ring when they meet?
Well, look, the one thing he's going to bring, he's going to be at home. He's going to be surrounded by people. He's his own people. He's going to feel that confidence and draw from their energy. But Artur has made it a habit of being a road warrior, if you will. He's been on the road. I don't think that's going to really bother him all that much. And I do think that Yarde is going to bring I think he's going to try to exploit that. And I know that this is his opportunity to do so. And everybody is treating him as a massive underdog. Thankfully, Artur is not. Neither are we in the camp. So we have the utmost respect for Yarde and his power. And, we know that he's a challenger to the world light heavyweight title, and he'll be treated as such. But, believe me, it's not going to be easy. And rounds. It's going to be a hell of a fight, and we're going to have to work. Getting the victory is going to require a massive effort.
Going into that moniker I gave you in the intro about it being a cutsman to the greats, Beterbiev suffered a cut against Marcus Brown. Now, when we last spoke, Russ, you gave me an excellent insight into why Usyk's cut wouldn't be a factor in his fight with Joshua in Jeddah. Could you tell me if that would be the same case with Beterbiev in a fight with Yarde, the possibility of cuts reopening the set for Beterbiev, or in any future fight at all?
Yeah, I don't think, that's one of those freak cuts that, luckily holds together quite well. And it's not a place that, usually is susceptible to being open. I mean, I've had that now twice. I've seen it now. Well, actually, this is the third time I've seen it in my life, in my career in boxing. If I'm not mistaken, Jim Watt suffered the same cut down the front of his face against Howard Davis. I'm pretty sure it was Jim Watt that suffered that same cut down, and they couldn't get that stopped either for love or money. It's a hard, because there's a vein right down the middle. If it gets to that vein, it just continues to piss out all night. Then I had the issue with the fight with Badu Jack, where the same thing happened against Marcus Brown again. So I always felt that Marcus was that was somewhat intentional on what he tries to do. And then it happens again with Beterbiev, and of course, being a southpaw that he is, that that makes it more susceptible. But I don't think it's an issue in the fight at all.